Nowadays, I think that seeing people with disabilities integrated in the community is very normal. It's what we want, it's what we aspire, but it hasn't been easy. In the hospitals, it used to be that when an adult with disabilities would enter the emergency room, they would automatically ask for a DNR order because they felt like, why go too far?
When Tim was born in 1964, right after he was born, the doctor that they called in to make the diagnosis of Down syndrome came into the room and said, you know, your child has problems, he has Down syndrome, he'll probably never live past his first year, and you probably shouldn't even take him home from the hospital. You should put him right into an institution. And it was like, you know, obviously getting smacked in the face.
Physicians were very scared because they view in their minds people with disabilities as people who had a lot of neurological problems, complicated seizures, and other behaviors.
People with disabilities didn't have the visibility that they do now.
We went to a restaurant and this manager came up and said, "You can't bring those people in here. Nobody wants to look at them while they're eating."
You somehow pull a screen in front of yourself and it doesn't break your heart as it did early on or as it might when you get into discussions. You live it.
So that dissatisfaction made us act in different ways through supporting the individual needs and hopes and dreams. So I view ARCA as that organization that figured out how to do it well.
When I joined ARCA, it was a parent organization. We had monthly membership meetings, and we brought cookies and coffee and discussed what we could do to improve our kids' lives.
There wasn't much in the way of a professional staff back in those days, so it was kind of caretaking. The whole staff consisted of an executive director, that was Cherie, that was it. I could remember the time she called me and she was very excited and she says, "I've hired a secretary." And everybody got excited. We're growing, we're growing. And it was just so thrilling.
We have always called ourselves a family, and at that time we truly were, because we were small enough that we knew most everybody.
Everybody that worked at ARCA knew everybody else that worked at ARCA, and we knew all the individuals, and the roster of the individuals in the homes fit on one sheet of paper.
Bring on the homes, bring on the staff, train the staff, make sure that shifts were covered and all that. And then I can remember leaving the office at the end of the day thinking, there's nothing left in the tank. I got nothing else to give. I am spent, I'm exhausted. And then I'd wake up the next morning, it's like, I can't wait to get to work.
I think at one time we were kind of like the radicals that were bringing people out and bringing them into the community, and that was considered to be somewhat of a radical thought, like, oh my goodness, that we're doing this. And then by the time the late 80s came, we were the expected outcome, and all of a sudden the institutions were being the marginalized group. That's a cool thing, I think, that attracted me too, was to see that we were part of a movement. We really were.